It's
Hey,
good to
Harold.
be back.
Yeah,
The last
good to
time
be
we were
back.
in the studio, we were virtual.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Welcome
Feels
to
good
the
to be
Lew
back.
Perspective.
Yes, welcome.
All right, guys. Well, in our last conversation, we were talking about sort of the impact of what the current administration and
Yeah,
ICE and all
yeah,
these kinds of things right here. So
yes,
we were going to come back again and sort of continue that discussion in
yeah,
that regards.
yeah. Why it's a problem for
Yeah,
everyone, not just immigrants and not just people that are illegal immigrants either, right?
I think the nation
Yeah,
overall at large regard. One of the things too, I think since that last time that we were in the discussion, the person that was the raid that went on in Camarillo,
oh yeah,
that
that was a
person,
big one.
yes, and it was right now that person he passed away
Yeah,
from the injury of what they
right.
were trying to do, which was, you know, it was really disappointing to hear sort of that situation happening or so. And I don't know what all the details were behind that, but nevertheless,
Yeah,
I thought it was really kind of a dark mark in
yeah,
the overall.
yeah. They said it was a cannabis farm, and
Yeah,
just from memory, it's like 200 people were supposedly, detained. I don't know.
yeah.
We don't know what happened to them.
I still don't have all the
Assumption
details
would
on
be
that.
that they were, put into somewhere. I don't know what they call them. Do they call them detention camps now? Or
Well,
what do they call them?
it seems like that's sort of what they're sort of making that kind of loose statement in a
Yeah.
sense, and even
What do they call the one in Florida? Alligator Alcatraz?
Alcatraz,
It's like,
and how they're about
yeah.
to do that, and what is this leading to?
Mhm.
Is this leading to?
It's like internment camp. It doesn't sound like
Right,
internment
it
camps
kind of,
from
it seems like it's
World War II.
yeah, it seems like it's on the border
Yeah.
of not loosely being called that, but it's the same thing where you're
Yeah.
taking these people and detaining them,
Detaining them.
and
And then the World War II case, just based off of their ethnicity.
right,
Even just people that look Japanese, or they are Japanese in ethnicity, but really they're American, right?
Well,
They've been here for generations, so they're American.
yes.
But yeah,
And so that's kind of what I think, but I'm seeing more and more fallout from that, from not just, again, on the Democratic side of it, but I think also on the GOP side of it
yeah,
as well, because what seems to be more prevalent currently is this thing that's happening with the Epstein files,
oh man,
which
yeah,
was kind of leaning over into this, and now you're starting to see people sort of not believing all of what was once led to believe.
Yeah.
And so now you're starting to see this kind of
Right.
decay.
right,
And again, it's representation of this country and its administration currently.
yeah.
And
It's crazy that, well, and we can probably talk about Epstein another time, but just they want the transparency at the beginning, right? Oh
Right.
yeah, release the files and blah 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 blah, and then now when it's going to actually happen, and potentially there's names in there that
right.
that
Well, that's
they're
the,
connected now.
that's a concern.
Like now it's no, oh, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to release those. I meant to release a portion of the blacked out, right? Like
Right.
the redacted version where nobody's named, and it's like,
But see, then that comes back to the current situation of like ICE,
Yeah.
in the sense that, what people are wondering, okay, is this real? I mean, is this really necessary? Are we
Right.
being led to believe this? And you're seeing all of these inconsistencies that are starting to happen.
Yeah.
So the chaos that is, and on the global scale, what is it looking like for us? And maybe the country really doesn't care.
yeah,
I mean, maybe half of the country that is looking at it saying, I don't really care what the rest of the world thinks. But what it does do, it decays what was once led to believe that we were a nation of leaders and
Yeah.
leadership
right,
on a global scale.
yeah,
It seems to be diminishing in a
Right.
rapid pace,
right,
if you think about that.
yeah,
And I think that's sort of what people are now starting to feel. And again, I think we mentioned and previously that it's eroding the law enforcement.
it is.
In that.
It's already like the morale again around law enforcement is already low.
Yes.
This just just adds
to that
to say, oh, well, now I really, like, the distrust is really there.
It makes it difficult for them to do their job and do it legitimately.
Exactly.
Because now people are, well, if you think about it, why am I going to call them if they're going to come and
they're going to detain me for whatever?
Yes.
Could be saying, oh yeah, well, you're an illegal. No, even if you're, because there's cases where there were American citizens that have been detained for a extended amount of period just because they were there. Remember, we talked about that as well as you're wrong place at wrong time. And they've been detained. And it's like,
well, here's the scary part of it. If you think about it, these guys are wearing
the mask.
And anybody could do that. A perpetrator could do that.
Right.
And how would you not know?
How would you know? Especially if I ask you, Harold, if you're masked up, you've got a gun and whatever, a fake bag, whatever, it's a real bag, whatever it is, or an ice jacket or whatever. You know, if I say, hey, Harold, give me your, or I don't know who you are, I say, I need your badge number and identify yourself.
Yes.
Tell me who you are.
And do you have a warrant or something that would indicate who I am and why you're...
Because even normal police, that's the law, right? They have to say who they are and here's my badge number.
Right.
So to me, that says these people that are in ICE, that are doing these raids and detaining people, to me, that says they are not part of a legal system. They're not part of a law enforcement. They're bounty hunters. They're hired guns who don't want to be because they don't want to say who they are, you know, because hopefully if this, you know, we'll see where it goes.
Right.
But because they're going to be punished, I'm telling you, if it goes back, I would think they're going to be.
Reason why they
why would I say I'm Harold or I'm John, and here's, you know, this is who I am.
Right.
Well, one, you know, people on the internet will kill it, right? They will find you. They'll find your family. They'll find all the information about you, right? And they'll post it up, just like what other people are doing, right? Just like what the Republicans did for whatever. This is the governor of whatever, right? This is where or not governor. That's a bad example, but you know, they were giving, you know, like the prosecutors,
right?
This is where the prosecutor,
and it's like, so they become a target.
They become a target.
Someone else.
So they know now these people are like, no, we're not saying anything. But then at the same time, they are representing.
Well, think about it for a second. If you were out working, you're doing your job, you're legitimate, you have no criminal background whatsoever, and all of a sudden, this group come up and they look like they're wearing
military. They look like military
face mask, and they just automatically start to. You think, wait a minute, am I supposed to adhere to you?
Right.
But you're not.
They're authority. Do they look like authority? They look like authority.
They look like that. But what if?
But they're really not.
What if they were not?
That's it. They're not.
And now you're being taken, and they're basically saying, you know, I'm just rounding up, you know, whatever.
Sorry.
And and so it's not legitimate. But how would you know? And so I'm supposed to go with you just on the assumption that you are this military operation.
Whatever, whatever it is.
And so how are we supposed to expect people to sort of just say, okay, I'm going to go with you?
Right.
I mean, human nature is not that.
No. And we're already, again, there's distrust for the police is already there.
So you're going to say, okay, shoot, you know, it could be a gang of guys in these outfits now. I mean, if you think about it, the perpetration of that, when you look at hackers hacking into a system there, they're emulating someone that is supposed to
that
be
already has
somebody
the authority,
has the authority.
Yep.
And they have suddenly used that as a means to
infiltrate.
Yes. And so that's what I'm, you know, kind of wondering now, will we start to see that kind of behavior?
Right.
And then are we to expect people that, you know, maybe not even on the target list.
Right.
They just sort of fit this kind of, so they come up and suddenly you're not even, you're a citizen. I mean, legal citizen.
Yeah. Or you're even a birthright citizen.
Yes.
They don't know. Look at me.
And they take you and they take you into custody and you're supposed to just go with them on the pretense that this is legal.
Yeah, I'm not going.
So I think that's sort of the danger. That's the danger of what is being set as the precedent for doing this kind of thing.
Right.
And so we're now seeing this, and other nations around the world is seeing this, something that probably was never, ever envisioned that this nation would ever
Yeah.
be part of,
Right.
that we're actually doing this. And so I think a lot of people are really now starting to feel that this has been something that has eroded the democracy
Mm-hmm.
of this nation, the lawlessness now
Yeah.
that seems to be chaotic.
Right.
And on the global scale, the scary part is that where is it going?
Mm-hmm.
Is this now a whole new country in a
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Are we becoming something of a third world
Yeah.
mentality?
Right.
That
Well,
just seems that way.
it's funny too if you think about, there's people of all colors that
Yeah.
agree with what they're doing. There's people of all colors that don't agree with what they're doing, right? And then, you hear of stories where, you had people that agreed with it, but then they had their significant other taken away, and now they're like, no,
Right.
I don't agree. So it doesn't affect them until it affects them.
Exactly. Well,
And
that's kind of interesting you say that, because there was a story in the news where this guy, Canadian, but he was in Canada. He was born in Canada, but he's been in the U.S. He has kids and his wife. They're all
they're all
U.S.
American.
citizens, yes. But he can't get back in the country because but he had voted
yeah,
for the current administration. And he said that he said, I was, for what they were saying, they were going to sort of eliminate
Right.
a lot of the illegal immigrants in
Right.
this country.
right,
But I had no idea that I would be also included in that same thing when I've been here pretty much all my life, and I have a
Right.
family that's here,
right,
and I can't get back in the country because they won't let
Yeah.
me back in
yeah.
the country
Again, it doesn't affect
again.
you.
until,
Until it affects you, people will be like, oh yeah, heck yeah, illegal people, get them out of here.
yeah.
Until it affects you.
Well, I some of the current things that have sort of popped up too. I think the Supreme Court just gave him the okay to continue dismantling, I believe, the education.
Oh yeah,
And
Department of Education.
Yeah, and getting
The
rid of
layoffs
that.
there. Yeah, and everywhere actually, right? Almost, I think it was the other layoffs that they did before that, prior to the Department of Education as well.
We're seeing this instead of, and I think we kind of talked a little bit about that last time, about the process in which it is being implemented is different than what should have been implemented in the process of sort of restructuring the system.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're
not looking at the problem.
Right.
You're eliminating
bulldozing
something.
everything.
Yeah. And then you're going to create more problems, because I bet you they didn't do any studies on, hey, what's the after effect? Or maybe they did, I bet you they did.
You think they did?
I think they did. And here's why I think they did.
Okay.
Because they wanted to affect a certain population.
Okay.
So I am sure they said, oh, well, if this population is affected, go for it. Right.
So do you think that?
And I have no proof that they did. They
No,
did
no,
or
I mean,
didn't.
that's-
But I'm just, that's a feel that says, it's control. It's the control, right? It's, hey, we want to stay in control. Here's a way and a means that we can control people, especially from certain type of demographic or certain type of area, or a socioeconomic status.
Okay.
They can control them, because now if you're, they'll say the lower third, and you're considered, not middle class, lower class or whatever, the socioeconomic status, they're taking all these things away, and now you're going to be more dependent on, well, you can't do things, right? You won't get as educated as you think you can.
Okay.
Right? Now these opportunities aren't there anymore to go to college and school, right? Because now you can't have those pieces.
What would be the long-term fallout of that? What do you think?
Education levels will go down.
Absolutely.
That I think is what they want.
Okay.
Because again, that's about the control. It's about the brainwashing. It's about, saying,
But what would you think that would put the nation?
Oh,
and the
we're already falling behind on everything.
we are.
Right? It's proven we're falling behind. Just looking at like AI and things like that. What did they say? Like half of the top people in AI are Chinese.
Okay.
Right? It's like U.S. used to be the forefront of everything.
Yes.
Now we're not.
but it was always said that it was going to be great again.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I always tried to ask the question, when was it great?
Yeah.
When was this nation great? And so far, I've not heard any definitive answer as to when that time frame was, and then how are we going to become that again by the things that I'm seeing happening, and the people are starting to see the fallout from it, which is, I guess, probably more alarming for most Americans that truly believe that we were moving towards the 21st century, and suddenly we see this kind of fall back in a sense.
Yeah.
You know,
it seems like we're stepping backwards again.
Yeah. And I don't know what the outcome is going to be on that, unless the authoritarian prospect of that comes to fruition. Yeah. And now it's not the country that the U.S. used to be. And I've heard people saying, you know, all from both sides of the aisle. Some people are saying, well, we need to get rid of a lot of waste. And I can understand that aspect of government. But I believe that when you have people that are intentionally wanting to eliminate that and putting their minds together on both sides of the aisle to cut that out, then you can achieve that. When you've got one side, whether it's the Democratic side or the Republican side of it, when you have one side implementing the whole thing without any, I guess, a conversation or communication with the opposite side to try to figure out, okay, what is the best course of action? You forgot about the people, the government for the people, by the people. You're now the government for the government, and it has nothing to do with the people.
Authoritarian, yes.
Yes, kind of mentality is what seemingly people are afraid of happening to this nation here. Yeah. And for the first time, I saw someone, and it was on a social media thing, and they had talked about sort of this rebellion brewing. And they had indicated something like, we have to fight back. Yeah. And it sounded to me, for the first time I ever heard it, someone say, and I can't remember who it was, but said that we have to do that as a nation if we're going to remain the United States. Yeah. And that's the first time, and I was kind of like, whoa.
It's crazy.
And, you know, I've heard hence before, actually before the administration and the previous administration of this current administration. Yeah. People were talking about civil war. Then they did a movie called Civil War.
Oh, okay.
Is it a precursor
to what's going to happen?
What's coming? You know, and I'm thinking, I mean, when you think about that, you've got half of America agreeing to what's going on. Yeah. You know, and you got the other half saying, no, this is not what the Constitution was built for. Yeah. It was the opposite of that, to prevent this nation from becoming that kind of dictatorship type. And that people had the freedom to voice their opinion. Yeah. But I've also heard too, that the television stations are now sort of falling back. And I think CBS was one of those ones that was sort of now afraid to sort of stand up. Harvard, one of the major universities in this country, refused to.
They refused to.
Because...
their DEI, right? Was it their DEI stuff?
Yes, and because of that, they were sort of admonished by the current administration and indicating that they're funding, but they were saying it was more important to have minds that were helping to change the world. Yeah,
progressing.
From everything, from science to...
Everything, anything there.
Absolutely. And so when you shut that down,
That's what
when
I'm
you
saying.
shut that down,
They want
it
less
comes back to
They want the less educated people so they can control them. That's it.
so. What
That's it.
happens to all of our educated people? Do we lose them to other countries?
You
Do
lose
they leave
them, or you throw them in a camp, right? Or you put them, right? You think
Okay.
about kind of
So-
World War II.
So you think alligator,
Alligator,
Halle.
Alcatraz, no,
Okay.
Alcatraz, alligator,
I call it
Alcatraz,
Halle.
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just the same
It's so
thing.
stupid.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
so stupid.
It's-
It's so crazy that.
Well, they want to open up Alcatraz, a real.
Oh yeah, that's
that was the
one of
other
the
thing,
worst
too.
ideas I've ever heard.
They were saying that
One of the
they were
worst
gonna
ideas I've ever
open
heard.
that up.
Open
And
it
I'm
up.
thinking, okay, so what's driving this? For more, more prisons. I think we have enough.
We have
prisons
enough.
in this country.
Yeah,
probably more
we should
than
be-
any other.
We should, and then like the whole reform on that is another subject we could talk about, like prison reform, like,
Yeah.
right? Like really helping these people. Now, there's certain people you cannot help in prison.
Right.
I get that.
And
But I'm sure there are plenty that you can help,
yes.
right? And that want to be helped, and they just need the guidance because
And-
they never
but
had that.
It's never intended for that.
No, exactly.
I mean,
That's the
and,
thing.
and like you said,
Never.
we could go into that because you
Right.
can kind of look at the structure of what it was founded on. back at
Exactly.
the
We could talk
beginning
about
of
the
that. Yeah.
demographics, and we know exactly
We
what you're
know.
talking about, right? I mean, that's it.
So in that, now when we start looking at the fallout from what's happening now,
Yep.
we start to see that, ICE has such a negative impact now.
Mhm.
Not just, it used to be that when you heard
Mhm.
about ICE, they were raiding an operation that was illegally driven.
Yeah. Like
And
you knew it
kinda-
was.
You knew it was.
Like you're like, oh yeah,
Now-
that's totally illegal.
Now it's
Anybody and anything.
and everybody's looking at them now with a shady eye
Yeah.
and not looking at them as ones that are actually enforcing the law but breaking the law.
Yep.
And that's a
Scary.
whole different, because now if you create lawlessness in the minds of the people,
Mm-hmm.
then you get this, I wouldn't say Wild West kind of mentality,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got plenty of guns on the street and in places
Yep.
where now, all it takes is like the man that lost his life trying to escape,
Yeah.
from this raid
Yeah.
to spark
But even
an
that.
incident.
But even that, right? Like that's out of the news cycle already, right?
Yeah.
It's when did that happen? Like on the 10th
Couple
or
weeks
something? Yeah, a week
Couple weeks
ago.
something like that.
And what did we hear anything else about it after? It just says, oh, he died, falling out.
No, that was it.
That was it. Can you imagine if it was the other way, where an ICE
Agent.
was killed?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what would happen?
Well, you would have
Well, this is
chaos. And
massive
you would
chaos.
have-
This is where the administration would be like, oh, we need to take control of California,
Okay.
right?
So
I mean, that's what they're waiting for. They're really waiting for
Yeah.
something bad to happen in that respect,
so
they can
think
give them
that-
a reason to.
But
to do
you'll
something.
find people that say that they agree with that.
It's crazy.
And so that's
But that's
where,
crazy. But that's the crazy part. Then how come you can't even identify yourself, right?
Well, see, that's the
So
other
then
side of it.
why you're not then, right? You're not an official police
So
or
I'm
president,
seeing that, and like we're saying, that the nation is on a collision course
Yeah.
with itself.
Right.
And the other countries outside of, are standing, waiting for the implosion to
Yeah.
happen.
Right. They're
And
gonna take over.
as
Yeah.
the people internally sort of looked for the new administration to sort of guide us into the new future.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, the chaos that seems to be prevailing now has kind of dismantled
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the structure that was put into place
Mm-hmm.
for this country to continue its moving forward. And so now people are becoming more and more disenchanted. I'm seeing more and more of the social media. And I believe that if the administration had its druthers, they would cut social media just like they do in China.
Oh yeah.
and North
State
Korea
controlled. Yeah.
and Russia. And,
Oh yeah.
and
it
you
would only be
control.
propaganda that would go
And
out to
that's it.
everybody. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we've always been, and it's always been, and this is what has always been the envy of most of the world is that we've had the freedom to voice our objection against
Exactly.
anything or
Yeah.
anybody and protest that and not necessarily get killed or die or be put away in
Right.
some far off place.
Well, freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
That's
That was
That's
what
your freedom of speech.
was part of the Constitution.
Part of it.
And so even
I can
if
say
you didn't
anything I
like
want
it,
to,
you can
no
say
matter what.
that, no
Yeah.
matter what.
No matter
And
what.
now that's being sort of admonished and censored.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're saying something nice about what is going on, whether you like it or not, you better not say it.
Exactly.
And people are seeing this, right? And this is what that person said right in front of our face.
But that's what people want too, right? Or that's what maybe the government wants, is people not to say anything.
Well, so now,
that's it.
Do you think that this is part of the? I heard little bits and pieces, and I don't know very much about it. Some plan 20 project, yes. So what's about that? What is that about?
It's the way they can control everything, right? And the way that they can set up so that the administration stays longer than they have to, but puts in policies that will also affect generations. So that's what they're doing, right? You think of all of these cuts, and you think of all like the way that they're the big beautiful bill, and you think of all that stuff.
Dismantling all these is part of the plan.
Dismantle it.
2025.
That's right. It's dismantling all of this stuff so that they can stay in control. They can stay generationally.
You know what's crazy about the whole thing is that the founding of this country was to get away from that kind of thinking.
Right.
In the very beginning.
Right. The monarchy, right? They want to get away from the monarchy.
Are we now, as a nation, wanting to go to this?
No.
Now?
I think certain people want to go to it.
Okay. So, but I mean, half of the country voted for the current administration to be in place for this. And you look at the previous administration, despite they had their, negatives that they were doing.
Of course.
But it wasn't dismantling this country.
Right. I had a sense at least that they did want to progress the U.S. as a whole. They wanted to do the best for the people, the citizens of the U.S. Whereas I don't feel that anyway, right? And I don't know how you feel, but I'm sure you feel the same way. The current administration does not want to progress the U.S. They want to isolate, and they want to say, well, it's us now. It's us against the world, right? Where we need to be the ones to, rely on our own manufacturing, rely on this, rely on that, right? But they don't necessarily want to progress, in the world stage. They probably don't want to progress.
So that's probably why the administration is cutting out education.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's it.
How do
you got to keep people like under an educational threshold, then you control them. You can control what you can say to them, and you can control what they learn, and they don't have the right things. Like you can't, again, you have families that rely on certain things, right? The funding that the, Department of Education gave to the states, so on and so forth, right? Education usually is set by the state, but the funding and all that stuff comes from the Department of Education. Now you're not going to have any of that. So it'll definitely affect people.
Well, I think we mentioned too previously in the agricultural aspect, the farming.
Oh yeah.
We're now we are looking at, the food source.
Right.
Being diminished because the people that once worked in the fields from early
sun up to sundown,
are being
freed
out.
They can't. They're
put into
Alcatraz, and they're going to be sent to regular Alcatraz too. So
and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
People that when they were, I would say, they were seeing the fruits of the people's labor, and it was beneficial to them.
Yeah.
Then it was okay. Now you're saying we're going to cut all that out. Now we're going to put regular American citizens in the field. How does that work?
Well, they won't want, could you think about that? Like, would you or I even want to go out in the field?
Well, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's tough.
Respect to all the people that do that, because it is hard. And they're making their living doing that because they just want to make their living.
Right.
And that's it.
Some people
let them make their living.
Said that, well, they should have been here legally. And it was interesting. And I spoke with one a guy, Hispanic guy.
Okay.
And I asked him, I said, so, I mean, what's your thought on? And he said, well, I hate seeing what's happening, but he said that the reason I think the Hispanics that voted for um, the current administration was that they were talking about rounding up, like the criminal activity of the illegal,
Sure.
and they were, and that the other ones that were here illegally but law abiding, that they should have come into the country legally.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that I could understand that, but to round up everybody now under the same blanket, you're not discriminating between the criminal activity and the ones that were law abiding who basically have contributed to the structure of this country's economic.
Right. They're paying taxes.
They're paying taxes and they work and they've not. And I said,
they're
well,
not causing any harm. Yeah.
I said, well, where's the reasoning in that? I said, and I don't believe that people voted for seeing what's happening to the nation, that everybody now is going to feel the benefit. And even as we said, it used to be that term trickle down economics.
Yeah.
I think this is the dynamic wave up. It's going the other way. And because you're just tearing out the structure of what's the country has been built on, you're tearing that out. It's just a matter before the top falls in.
Yeah.
And then the worth of what, unless you as a multi-billionaire or something left the country and took all your worth, that worth is worthless because it's all on paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll have to see. I don't know. But just quickly before you get for that, you're just telling your story about, you're speaking with someone who's, just the thought also from me on that is like what they're doing to the people today, it's going to happen to you next, right? So just got to think about that also is if they're doing that to people illegal, they're saying they're illegal and they're rounding them up. What's the next step when they get through? It's going to be the legal people now, right? Like you and me. And
for a second
so
now,
we're next.
When I spoke with this gentleman who was Hispanic, also like black men voted for the current administration. And I've really tried hard to understand what was the mindset behind that. Because when you start to look at it, you say, well, were you voting for what this was, what's happening now, in this? Because I would say that a lot of times my ancestors went through the same sort of treatment that is being bestowed upon the people of color overall. And just like you saying here. So what is stopping this? And I read this one article, and I think recently the administration had some folks from Africa. Liberia was the country. Now, Liberia, just for a historic perspective on this, was named Liberia because it was where, when slavery ended, a lot of the U.S. Government sources help former slaves now leave and go back to Africa. And Liberia was one of the West countries on the western half of Africa where a lot of them started to cultivate in that area. And so in that they had the president, I believe, of Liberia in the White House. And so they were, again, the current administration was talking about deal making. And can we have some of our prisoners be accepted in your country? And I started looking at that and started thinking, what's in 2025 plan that is not being disclosed that the rest of the country is not aware of? Then is it part again of a bigger picture that is not prevalent? And some people will say, they're all for whatever it is. you know. And so I'm just, I guess I'm standing here watching the structure crumble.
Yeah.
And what's going to be after it all crumbles. That's why I said the dynamic wave is moving upward. Now, whether
I
someone,
don't know. Yeah.
whether someone, you know, the shot that started the revolution in the very beginning, to me, I've kind of, I may be embracing for that. I don't know what it is. I hope that it doesn't, because if it does, it will be the true collapse of what the United States was once.
Yeah.
And then in the history books, it'll say the fall of what was once seen as a great nation.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that we're at that point now, but you know, I've seen all these different, and looking at from both sides and trying to understand, why are we here talking about this when, you know, we're standing here watching the decay of this, what we thought was once a great structure for the world.
Yeah.
You know, in any case.
Yeah. So we'll leave
Yes.
links down at the bottom in our description, right, of how you can support people that have been affected by, you know, ICE raids or anything like that. We'll also include the handbook there from the ACLU. I think it's ACLU.
Yes, ACLU.
That will have some information on there. And,
yes,
you know, if you ever are stopped by ICE, it gives you kind of a good breakdown of what to say and
exactly.
you know, how to react
and
you know,
everything
just,
like that.
yeah, be as peaceful as possible, obviously.
That's the thing is try to be as peaceful.
But we understand the emotions run high during tense situations like that. So it'll be tough, but just remember, they're looking for people to throw the first punch or the first rock or the first bullet or whatever it is. That gives them reason to yes. So response. You know, just let's, you know, try as best as you can to hold those in and know that
these are trying times right now.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
We watching and we're with you there as well.
For sure. So
until the next perspective, we encourage you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. We'll see you
next time.
Bye.